Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars Skeleton Crew video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. In light of some of the massive Easter eggs in the most recent episode, I want to connect some out-of-universe dots. Something Lucasfilm may have been up to behind the scenes. Because, as a few of you pointed out, isn't it interesting we've had live-action Muuns in 2 consecutive live-action Star Wars shows? The Darth Plagueis cameo in The Acolyte, and the bathing Muuns with towels on their head in Skeleton Crew. Both shows were being produced at the same time, and so it kind of makes sense if there was crossover with some of the visual effects, if one borrowed from the other, and they used the same kind of CG template for both. But then it got me thinking about the Hutt. We don't know if this Hutt is the same from the Book of Boba Fett. In light of the news Rotta the Hutt is going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu, is this him? Was this cameo a sort of testing of the waters for the upcoming film? Was this really Jabba's son? The episode guide doesn't shed any light on this, but I guess we'll find out in 2026. And so in light of all of these potential coincidences, I started wondering if some of the other Easter eggs are also very intentional. Going back to the Muuns, we have to wonder what is the importance of the intergalactic banking clan during the Mandoverse, during the age of the New Republic. And when you look at their history in the expanded universe, it becomes very apparent they might be a crucial part of the upcoming Jon Favreau movie. Let me break it all down. Something really important mentioned in episode 5 is that Lanupa is a politically neutral planet. Affluence is all that counts. It's a rather snobby place. But when you start looking into the political views of the intergalactic banking clan, they're actually creating problems for both sides, the Remnant and the New Republic. Let me explain. There's a lot of misunderstanding and many false assumptions about what happened to them after the Clone Wars came to an end. A lot of people assume that after Anakin went to Mustafar, after he slaughtered Sandhill and the other separatists, the clan would have faced severe repercussions and been totally annexed by Palpatine. But it's a bit more complex, because during the Clone Wars, if you remember, control of the banks was already handed over to the Chancellor, but the Munilist banking clan under Sandhill was also supporting the Confederacy. So when the Empire rose to power, you would assume Palpatine would have had more control. But amazingly, they were permitted a surprising amount of freedom, a freedom to invest where they wanted. Palpatine did maintain a close eye on them, but he also mostly left them alone. And they did have a few contingencies in place if the Empire fell apart. The banking clan managed to escape the fate of many of its co-conspirators, and actually became the creditor for restructured currency of the Empire. It was in existence mainly out of necessity, because more than anything, the Empire feared a galactic recession. So basically, Palpatine allowed them to continue their day-to-day operations, that being said, under very close watch. And there was a degree of Imperial control on Scipio and Munilist. There was a core of Imperial administrative personnel put in charge of supervising their financial affairs. But the intergalactic banking clan did survive. And I guess to an extent, old Granddaddy Palps ensured they never switched their allegiance to the Rebel Alliance, and they didn't. However, most importantly, the banking clan realized if it came to it, they could work for both, as creditors of both parties. So now we come on to the period of the New Republic. After the establishment of Mon Mothma's new government, the banking clan didn't face any repercussions for their allegiance to Palpatine, and instead, they became the financiers and guarantors of the new government. But this is where things get messy. They were simultaneously in cahoots with the Imperial Remnant. Munilist remained a remnant world, but because they were the financiers of the New Republic, many Moths of the Imperial holdouts were angered by this. And so now we come on to why this might be very important for the Mandalorian and Grogu, why the banking clan might be at the center of it. Thrawn is back in the known galaxy. With Gideon's death, the Shadow Council now has their most vital leader, and with the banking clan profiting from both, making profits on both sides, this adds a new financial dimension which causes a few issues. If the New Republic finds out, there's not much they can do. The clan has too much money, power, and influence. We have to remember the New Republic is already very unstable. They're already facing troubles with their military spending. But on the other hand, with the Remnant enraged at the double dipping of the Muuns, who in turn upholds the New Republic currency, the Remnant might initiate an attack on the banking clan's vaults. There was a rumor back in 2021 that we're going to see one of their homeworlds, Scipio, in The Acolyte. Since that didn't happen, it is possible the leak was legit, but for the wrong project. We know there's an ice planet in the Mandalorian and Grogu. It was shown in the D23 footage, with Mando and Grogu taking on remnants. We assumed it was Hoth, but what if it's Scipio? And what if we find out about the remnants' involvement with the Muuns? Not to mention an additional factor in all of this, Johnny Coin's remnant from Mando Season 3 is back. The remnant who said, there's a fortune to be had plundering the hyperspace lanes. They need to fundraise. There are various remnant projects, and they're in desperate need of money. So I can imagine a situation where the remnant says, look, you're serving both sides, you need to work for us. Conspire financially to take down Mon Mothma's government. This could be done through data leaks and patterns, understand and intercept flow of resources, destabilize military funding, hack certain financial transactions, in many ways exploit the dual allegiance. They could also engage in diplomatic sabotage, expose weaknesses, and through helping the remnant understand New Republic spending, anticipate their next steps and their plans. And if they say no, this could lead to a full-scale attack on both the banking clan and Scipio. Beyond the fact he's a familiar face from the Mandalorian Season 3, there must be a deliberate story implication for choosing to bring Coin's character back. During the Shadow Council scene, he seems to be opposed to Pellaeon and Thrawn, advising caution, putting more of an emphasis on the financial side. Considering he is set to be one of the main villains in the upcoming film, it stands to reason there is a bigger connection between the banking clan and the Muuns we saw in Skeleton Crew, and what Jon Favreau plans to do with them in the 2026 movie. And speaking of further ties to the expanded universe, my dear friends, Coin might be a canon version of Warlord Zinj from Legends, a former Imperial who served Palpatine, who became a warlord, and pursued his own agenda after the Empire fell. The Shadow Council scene already showed each of these characters is important in their own right, and we know so little about some of them. Aside from Pellaeon, Hux, and Gideon, most of them are unnamed, so I'm fascinated to see how it's all going to tie together. And in saying all of this, guys, we're not going to see much of Thrawn in the Mandalorian and Grogu. I think Filoni wants to explore his return, the connection to Dathomir, the Great Mothers, what was in the catacombs. That stuff's going to be in the Filoni projects. And I just want to finish on something massive. We now have a new rumour, one from a reliable source, Jeff Snyder, that the Mandalorian Season 4 is happening. It's going to be after the movie. So, as a few of us suspected, the movie's going to be a great push to get casual audiences more involved in this story, and really to get them watching Disney Plus to discover or rediscover the show. And if this report is true, after the movie we're going back to streaming with The Mandalorian's 4th season. How do you guys feel about this? What do you make of my theory? And do you believe some of these Easter eggs were very much a deliberate foreshadowing of what Jon Favreau is going to do in the movie? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials. Why not consider becoming a patron? The link to my Patreon is down below. But until the next one, guys, may the Force be with you, always.